distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. It is indeed a great pleasure to me to share my knowledge, experience, and expertise in maritime development. And I would like to thank organizing committee for inviting me. The title of my sharing or presentation is How to Enhance Mutual Cooperation between Indonesia and the Republic of Korea in an innovation-driven maritime economy. The word enhancing, I deliberately choose it because Indonesia and Korea has been working to go together on win-win basis since 1980s in the field of maritime. So for those who do not know yet where Indonesia is, the capital city of Indonesia, which is Jakarta, only 5,000 kilometers apart from Seoul, right? And flying hour from Jakarta to Incheon is about 6 hours, and then to Busan is about 7 hours. And that is the geographic comparison between Indonesia and Korea. Indonesia area 75% in the form of seas, and Indonesia is the fourth most populous country on earth. This is data in 2017. Right now, according to Indonesian statistic, total population of Indonesia is 270 million. So the fourth largest population on earth after China, India, and United States of America. So, but in terms of economic status, Indonesia is still lower middle income country. If you can see the benchmark from the World Bank, a country can be considered or categorized as rich or a high income country if the GDP per capita bigger than $11,750, while Indonesia right now still $3,920. Korea, very lucky, your GDP per capita already 28,000. So Korean are much richer than Indonesian. So this is the classification of development status of countries based on GDP per capita. And as you can see here, Indonesia in 2017, GDP per capita only 3,600, while Korea already $27,500. And country called as developed nation or advanced nation is the technological capacity class 1, which is technology innovator countries. And again, Korea is very lucky, and congratulations to you because you are already advanced countries, while Indonesia still categorized as technology adapter country. So this is the Indonesia, yeah. Indonesia is the largest archipelago on earth, consisting more than 17,000 islands. The second largest is the Philippines, only 7,000. Yeah. And as far as the coastline is concerned, Indonesia has the second longest coastline, about 95,000 kilometers. Canada, the longest coastline, about 130,000 kilometers of coastline. But from geoeconomic point of view, actually Indonesia located very strategic because more than 40% of goods traded globally transported by vessel through Indonesian sea lanes, through Indonesia. So from a global supply chain point of view, actually Indonesia has advantage. But unluckily, we are right now technologically less developed, so we just exporting raw materials like coal, minerals, and crude palm oil. Yeah. So this is demographic dividend. So this is area of Indonesia. As you can see, 75% of Indonesian total area in the form of blue water, yeah, ocean. Yeah. This is the position of Indonesia in the global supply chain. 90% of goods, commodities, and product traded globally, transported by sea, not by air or on land. I don't want to bore you about this thing, yeah. So this is the economic performance of countries. Yeah. Indonesia belongs to G20, yeah, elite country on the world, yeah. And I don't want to teach you about Korea, but as Professor Lee yesterday pointed out, before 1960, actually Korea is much, much poorer than Indonesia, but you have a leapfrog strategy, yeah? So right now you're far away advanced and richer than Indonesia. So this is 10 countries that have the best education system. According to UNESCO, Korea has the best education system on earth. Last year, Indonesia has been awarded by UNESCO as the most innovative nation. So good for Indonesia to learn from Korea. I don't want to, again, because time limitation, this is the description of historical development, cooperation between Indonesia and Korea. All in all, we have been very, best partner. Korea right now is the 5th or the 6th largest foreign direct investor to Indonesia. Yeah? And in terms of export-import balance, Indonesia is negative. So Korea export more product than Indonesia. So that's one. So Indonesia export on the on the red bar, while import from Korea is the green bar. So balance of trade for Indonesia negative compared to Korea. Tourist visit Korea to Indonesia, more Korean than Indonesia to come to Korea. Yeah? And I remember when President Moon just sworn in, the first country he visited in Indonesia is Indonesia. So to Indonesian, meaning Indonesia is one of the best friends of Korea. And during President Moon visit to Jakarta, Indonesia, between President Moon and President Jokowi for Indonesia signed an agreement to increase the status of cooperation or partnership from strategic partnership become special strategic partnership. Yeah. So this is the Indonesia-Korea ongoing and future cooperation in economic field. As you can see here, we can notice in terms of maritime economy, we have shipyard industry, we have been cooperating very well. And then Jakarta Giant Seawall, as yesterday presented by our keynote speaker, yeah, it's also cooperation with Korea. And also special economic zones in Indonesia, like in West Java, in North Sulawesi, mostly done by Indonesia and Korean companies. Yeah. Education and research also involving Korea very heavily. Yeah. So this is the what we call unforgettable momentum or picture between our two leaders, President Moon and President Jokowi, and First Lady of both Indonesia and Korea. This is the meeting among cabinet ministers in Jakarta. This is in Bogor Palace. See how solid our two leaders are. So this is my suggestion, yeah, as far as potential areas of cooperation is concerned. Yeah. So under the administration of President Jokowi since 2014, President Jokowi already announced that we would like to develop Indonesia as world maritime fulcrum, meaning we would like to increase the utilization of coastal and ocean resources on a sustainable basis and on inclusive basis. And as you can see, the 7 major development policies in Indonesia during President Jokowi leadership is number 1 is of course in human resource development. Number 2 is infrastructure development, including maritime highway, meaning by revitalizing major ports in Indonesia like Jakarta, Makassar, Sorong in Papua, and so forth and so forth. And we also add or put more vessel to bring transport from one island to the others, because regional development imbalance is also one of the major problem in Indonesia, where Java Island, only 5% of the total area of Indonesia, contributes about 60% to Indonesian economy. And the population reside on Java Island is about 40%. So very, unbalanced regional development. And as you can see here, number 4 is the maritime economic development. So we have strong belief that if Indonesia turn our priority from land-based to ocean-based development, because since Dutch colonization era, which was 300 years, we were colonized by Dutch, the development mostly concentrated on land, not on ocean or coastal area. Yeah? So we have strong belief with a huge area of seas and ocean, as well as the high potential resources. Indonesia can do better if utilizing coastal and ocean resources on professional basis. So this is the Indonesian area. So what I mean by marine economy is all economic activities taking place on coastal and ocean areas, and also economic activities located upland, but if raw material is coming from coastal or ocean, like for example seaweed, process in Bandung. Bandung is one of the mountain city in West Java, Indonesia. I call it as marine economy. And thanks to Professor Judith Kildo from Berkeley, University of Berkeley, she also agrees with my definition. So based on that definition, in Indonesia we have at least 11 sectors of maritime economy, from capture fisheries, marine biotechnology, up to non-conventional resources. What I mean by non-conventional resources are natural resources and environmental services contained in Indonesia coastal and ocean areas, but due to technological capacity and lack of financial capacity, we Indonesians have not utilized those resources. For example, like deep sea water, shale gas located along the west coast of Sumatra and the south coast of Java. According to US Geological Survey, it contains 4 times bigger than the whole oil and gas reserve in Indonesia. So according to some calculation, the total economic value of 11 Indonesian marine sector is about 1.3 trillion US dollar, which is about 1.45 the economic size of Indonesia right now. Yeah. So this is my suggestion in maritime cooperation between our two beloved nations, South Korea and Indonesia. Number 1 is in naval architecture. And since 2 years, I've been facilitating the so-called double degree program between Mokpo National University and Institute of Technology of Surabaya in East Java to conduct a master degree. So 1 year in Indonesia, 1 year in Mokpo. And according to that agreement, after graduation, at least 2 years, Indonesian young men or women should work in Korea first, because in Korea, lack of manpower. Yeah? You are experiencing a population, aging population, while Indonesia, a lot of population. So this is good kind of win-win cooperation. And the second cooperation will be in marine culture, capture fisheries on sustainable basis, fish processing industries. When I was minister, I have signed agreement between Indonesia and Korea to boost fish processing industries. And Busan is one of the world center of fish processing industries. So we should cooperate and learn more about fish processing industry and marine biotechnology. It surprised Chris when you explained about ocean capabilities in Canada, especially in Halifax. By the way, I did my PhD in Dalhousie, so I know quite a bit about that one. So you didn't mention about biotechnology, while biotechnology and nanotechnology is actually the future and the existing what they call technological breakthrough to increase production and productivity of renewable marine resources. And so forth and so forth. At least 11 areas of cooperation can be strengthened, deepened, and enhanced between Indonesia and Korea. And by the way, starting next year, Indonesia is moving its capital city from Jakarta to East Kalimantan. East Kalimantan also located on the coastal area, so it's kind of what we call waterfront city. And Korea is one of the best nation in, like Japan, in developing coastal cities or waterfront city. So when President Jokowi is coming next month, 20th until 23rd of November, attending APEC meeting, yesterday I have arranged the meeting between President Moon and accompanied by Mayor of Busan, Dr. Oh, to propose the cooperation in planning, designing, and constructing new capital city of Indonesia in East Kalimantan. That project is worth about 30 billion US dollars, so big chunk of money. And we need not only smart city, but also green and blue city. So to the best of my knowledge, Korean is one of the best nation in constructing, planning and constructing that city. And if everything goes well, the whole capital city of Indonesia from Jakarta to East Kalimantan will be completed by 2025. So only 5 years planning and construction. Yeah, this is type of offshore aquaculture, like in the US, a very sturdy and robust cage net. Yeah? So we can team up between Korean experts and Indonesian experts to build this kind of offshore aquaculture. This is also another example of offshore aquaculture. This is example in Norway. Norway is the largest producer of salmon, as you know, yeah? Because they have advanced technology not only in aquaculture, but also in infrastructure. So this is in France, so they combine the wind energy and solar energy to fuel the aquaculture activities offshore. Yeah. This is marine biotechnology. Actually, this is assessed by Minister of Maritime and Fisheries Affairs of Korea back in 2002 that the value of marine biotechnology industry is 4 times bigger than IT industry. So the future is here. This is just example, the industrial, what you call product of seaweed from Indonesia, yeah, for industry, for pharmaceutical, and for pangan mean food, yeah. So this is example. So a lot of marine biota contain bioactive compound which can be used as raw material for pharmaceutical, cosmetic, and functional food. Yeah. Because time limitation, I just want to scroll it out. Yeah. This is the carapace or skin of lobster, crabs, shrimp can be converted into chitosan or chitin. It's good for alleviating cancer or tumor disease. In Indonesia also undergoing research and development using microalgae for biofuel. Yeah. This is killing 2 birds with 1 stone, reducing global climate change, and at the same time producing biofuel. Yeah. So we have already been able to identify about 11 species of microalgae in Indonesia, which contain hydrocarbon, and 4 species contain more 20% of hydrocarbon. This is the hydrocarbon biofuel from microalgae. So technological readiness already there, but the price is much higher than what we call diesel fuel. So 14,000 rupiah or $1 per liter, while diesel fuel, Indonesia only 0.6 US dollar. So I think we have also to follow the breakthrough from China. In the last decade, the China scientists already been able to cultivate the rice field, not on land, but also in marine ecosystem. As you can see, the productivity of rice on marine-like ecosystems about 9.3 metric tons per year. That is a good breakthrough. I think this is the strength of Korea, because Korea is #1 nation in producing sheep. Yeah? So we learn much from Korea, and two big companies between Samsung, Hyundai, and PT PAL Indonesia already made a cooperation. Yeah? And I think I want to end this presentation by saying 감사합니다, thank you, and terima kasih. Good morning.
여기 사진은 누구십니까?
Oh yeah, this is in one of the most beautiful island in Indonesia, which is Kaimana, so close to Raja Ampat in Papua. One of the best, I think, the best coral reef ecosystem in Indonesia. This is my wife, by the way.
아주 멋지게 나왔습니다.
If you are a dive lover, Indonesia is the place.
예, 저 로크리 다원님이 하여튼 그 인도네시아 전체에 대한 그 해양 경제라든지 그리고 해양에 대한 잠재력, 그리고 인도네시아 정부가 해양에 대해서 많은 관심을 가지고 있고 관련 산업에 대해서 많은 투자를 하겠다는 그런 내용을 아주 상세하게, 좀 시간이 더 많았으면 아마 제가 보기에는 한 40분에서 1시간 이상 걸리는 그런 내용인 것 같습니다. 하여튼 좋은 소개 감사드립니다. 그래도 뭐 시간이 좀 지체됐지만 한 번 정도의 어떤 그런 질문을 좀 받도록 하겠습니다. 예.
예, 저는 한국해양과학기술원의 강길무라고 합니다. 지난주에 그 인도네시아가 그 해양조정부가 해양투자조정부로 이게 조직 확대 개편이 됐는데 그 배경과 의의에 대해서 말씀해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.
Yeah, actually the first establishment of Minister of Marine Affairs and Fisheries was in 1999 when the President Abdurrahman Wahid, and also continued by President Megawati. I was minister for 2 terms during President Wahid and Megawati, and continued until President Yudhoyono. And since President Jokowi, what we call term 2014, even the maritime development has been increased by putting one more ministry. In the past, only Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. Since 2014, since President Jokowi, one more ministry was established, which is coordinating Ministry for Maritime Affairs. And you're right, last week, President Jokowi add one more function to the maritime, coordinating Minister of Maritime, which is coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment. So this is also, to many Indonesian, frankly speaking, odd, yeah, because investment normally put it with the Ministry of Trade or Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But my positive thinking is that President Jokowi will give even more priority to maritime development. Yeah. I hope that's answered your question.